Earlier this year, the National Toxicology Program, which was set up by the NIH specifically to investigate the health effects of various environmental substances, quietly announced that they would be discontinuing all research into the biological impacts of cell phone radio frequency radiation. According to an article published in The Hill, this decision comes despite results from the program's carefully engineered and reviewed decade-long $30 million animal studies that found cancer, heart damage, and DNA damage associated with exposure to cell phone radio frequency radiation at levels comparable to those experienced by Americans today. There's this background in all of this that there was research that originally came out that showed that these EMFs were dangerous. The communications industry then goes out of their way to fund a study proving that their products are safe. The researchers do the research and say, look, you guys are not going to like what I'm going to publish. So they torpedo the whole project. And now, but this is still going on like 20 years later. And there's arguments here that are just absolutely foolish, in my opinion. Like, why are we going to argue the merits of a type 2 carcinogen versus a type 1 carcinogen and whether or not we need to be cautious about that? Why are we going to argue the merits of the thermic effect versus a non-thermic effect when we know that too much X-ray radiation, which we also cannot see, is extremely damaging? I mean, the man who created X-ray killed his wife by testing out his invention on her. He irradiated her to death. And it's just bizarre to me. Like, if there's a question mark about the safety, it behooves all of us to take simple steps like not keeping a cell phone in our pockets, which is not a big ask. You know, it's if that question mark is there, it seems like a good idea to take simple precautions wherever possible.
For sure. And just a quick example of effects that are not as dramatic, or let's say that do not seem as dangerous as cancer or fertility loss. Just sleep quality reduction is a big one. But look at this. It's about 20 years ago that the early studies on can cell phones impact brain waves before sleep, and which would impact the sleep patterns, right? Our brains emit waves. And again, we're talking about electromagnetic interference from a phone. The phone emits a wave, the brain emits a wave, and somehow there's, those waves cross and it causes a problem in the brain. So if it does cause a problem, how much of a problem is that? So researchers in a sleep clinic in the UK looked at that. It was, if I recall correctly, it might have been 2008, in an article in Scientific American that was very, that made me very angry, was posted on the topic. And you'll understand why, is that those same researchers who did find effect and said, my God, when we have a 30-minute exposure to a cell phone right next to these men's head, they have a sleep onset of 1 hour additionally. So they have basically 1 hour tossing and turning in the bed, and they cannot fall asleep, as if their system needs to find its way. The brainwaves need to replace and to recuperate and to, figure out what is happening with this cell phone signal, and then they can go to sleep. So for anyone, it would mean, less of a good health, for sure. It would mean a long-term effects on your ability to have normal hormones, blood sugar regulation, energy levels, and just life enjoyment overall. It's a huge deal. But the researchers said this: we cannot conclude that EMFs are dangerous or that your cell phone is dangerous because the arousal effect of these waves to the brain is just the equivalent of half a cup of coffee. Wow. And that's not a joke. So that's the kind of hubris that these people might have, where they say, it's not very dangerous, just half a cup of coffee. But guys, we have a population that does not sleep enough in number of hours, does not have the best quality. We know that. We know that this is a public health crisis. So if you add the phone, and it's not just 30 minutes of exposure that most people have. A lot of people sleep with their phone under the pillow. What is it causing? We don't know to this day, because there hasn't been a lot of updated research. And to this day, I have sleep scientists that tell me I'm very skeptical that cell phones can impact sleep, and they haven't read the research. So the reality is, if your phone impacts your sleep 5%, it has an effect on your health. And maybe it's not, a huge danger, but to me, it is a dangerous thing to have things around you that you're not even aware might impact your health in the long term and short term as well. I mean, why do I feel like this? I wake up in the morning, I'm not rested. For sure, it's alcohol, it's stress, it's this and that, it's toxins, but also the cell phone. And what makes me angry is that cell phone part, a lot of people miss it. A lot of people don't know about it. And even a lot of people would say, this is not serious research. No one is doing research on this. Like, these dangers are just conjured out of thin air by those tinfoil hatters, but they're not.
If you enjoyed this short clip and you want to learn more about EMFs, click the link in the upper right-hand corner of your screen now to see the full interview with Nicolas Pineault. I'll also put links for that in the description down below. Beyond that, I just want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you head out of here, and I'll see you next time.